fourth time they gave us an extension since I've been on council. And I think this is the last time.
Yeah.
They was really, really serious about closing us down. And they gave us an ultimatum. And that is, if you don't make these corrections by now, they're temporary corrections. So they put a Band-Aid on it. We're gonna close you down. And I guess what I want to know is, what is the right direction that we should go in if we're thinking about putting in a new detention law enforcement center? And are there any type of avenue on the state level that we can apply for? You know, because I just feel very strongly that it's gonna come to a head, and it'll cost us more money to transport inmates, or let's say detainees, to another county. When I talked with the former director for the detention center, he said it costs about $57 a detainee per day. That's not even counting the transportation that it would take to take them to somewhere else. And that'll cost us more, I think, in the long run than to have one built. I know that if push comes to shove where we have to have one, it probably would, and I'm just sort of speculating, require a increase in taxes. And I know that's not a big word here in this county, increase in taxes. So my concern is about our detention center and the condition that it's in, and how we can go about getting a new facility built, which include law enforcement.
Thank y'all for meeting with us tonight. We really appreciate you being here and expressing an interest that you have expressed in our county. My concern is our recreation department. I don't know if you've toured it lately, Representative Hager, Senator Hoto, I don't know if you ever have, but we are in dire need of a recreation complex for not just our children, but for all of our citizens in the county. So I am hopeful that the county is moving in a positive direction. I feel more confident with the meeting and coming together like we're doing, that we are moving in a much more positive direction. And you know, I just, here again, the jail, the recreation center, we have a lot of issues, but I'm glad that we're coming to the table and we're talking about it and we're working toward a viable solution.
Thank y'all for coming. We, as stewards of the county, we was held to a serious task. And sitting at this seat in the county is no easy job when you gotta make decisions on behalf of the citizens for the good of the order. We've been doing our best. We've come a long ways from where we were. But as far as going forward, there's a stagnation there because there's no funds. And it's hard to go forward when you don't have no funds. When you look at storms that come up and you look at your infrastructure and you see like, man, we got a backup here. Something's going on. Somewhere down the line it's clogged up. Water's not flowing through our county like it's supposed to. That lets you know that infrastructure needs to be looked at more seriously. Recreation, yes, we need that. We've been needed. Long time, overdue. And if anything in my power and council power, we gonna make it happen. But you know, it takes time to get things accomplished. But I pray that God will give y'all patience to work with us, and we work with y'all, for the good of the order. Just like I said, we've come a long ways. We still got a long ways to go. But continue to pray for us as a county.
I appreciate, thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate your time to come and listen to our pain. Sitting here and where we are, and sitting there, two different worlds. Here, we gotta make decisions and we have to do it by law and whatever's in reason. We have a lot of cry from our citizens on past records from the county. We are getting ready to put something on a referendum that they are scared to death of because the last one didn't go the way it's supposed to. At this point in time, we are not in a financial situation to support a forensic audit. I think that forensic audit will lift a lot of burdens off of a lot of people. And my question to you, is there any way you can assist us on getting that done?
Okay. So that's a lot of issues, but let me try to respond to as many of them as I can. And so on the issue of the audit first. Yes, there are state resources available, whether it's through the Treasurer's Office or Inspector General's Office. There are numerous state agencies that have auditors. I saw a draftable letter earlier today that was going to the governor to ask for some assistance to get a forensic audit.
For here?
For Hampton County, yes. Senator Matthews shared it with me, and she shared it with you, and well, she's drafted one, and it asks for just that, for sort of whichever agency can help, or a combination of agencies, that's what's needed. And I'm taking it, you said that, I assume that's the consensus, that the forensic audit is needed?
Yes.
And if that is the consensus, then I believe there are going to be some state resources that'll come and assist. As you may know, I'm the senator for 6 different counties, and we've had to do this before in Barnwell and in Allendale, and no reason we shouldn't be able to assist in Hampton as well. So that the request is being made, and we're going to follow up with the governor's office, decide which state agency, whether it's the auditor's office, the treasurer's, the comptroller's office, the treasurer's office, or which inspector general, but there are all of those state agencies have auditing capacity. And right now you don't.
Right.
So, well, we're gonna try and get somebody in here, to assist, or at least that's our intent, is to ask for that. I don't have any reason to think that it will be denied. I think that there will be somebody who's gonna come in and begin that process. On the issue of needs of the county, obviously, the needs of the county are your responsibility, but we're here to help, I mean, in any way that we can. And I will tell you that the way that state dollars flow is basically, there are 2 things. We have a general budget where we appropriate monies for state agencies and have recurring dollars that go to pay salaries of state employees and that kind of thing. And then we have what we sometimes refer to as one-time money. We have, if tax collections in any calendar year exceed the needs of the recurring budget, we can sometimes fund special projects in the counties. But it's up to the county to tell us a priority list. When we're not gonna fund all of it. I mean, over time, we might be able to, there are different pockets of money, all right? If you're talking about road needs, money flows through the what I still call the highway department of transportation. If you're talking corrections needs, there may be additional monies within the Department of Correction monies to assist the counties. Recreation dollars come to us from another group of funding. We have PARD funds that can help in recreation. You know, that's more for ball fields and that kind of thing. When you say recreation facilities, I don't know if you're talking about an indoor gym or swimming pool or.
I think at this point, we'd be thankful for whatever we could get.
Well, there are recreational monies available. So what I would tell you is, I don't know how long it's been since y'all have done a, for lack of a better term, I'm gonna call it a strategic plan. But you need to take an assessment. counties. And put them down on paper, and we need, I know you talked about the, corrections facility. I don't know what the daily census is, I don't know what it would cost to upfit the building you have, I don't know what it would cost to create a new building. But we gotta have a concrete request, okay? We need to know that you need a building to house a daily census of 20 or 50, okay? And when we get that, sometimes what we see, particularly since I represent a lot of small counties, is that we've gotta do it on a regional basis. Like, the detention center in Orangeburg is the Orangeburg Calhoun Detention Center, okay? With the two counties house, their inmates, in the same facility, because they're adjacent counties. I'm not saying that y'all have to do that, but I think as we go forward in many aspects of rural South Carolina, I mean, we have to face it. We all hope for the best, and we know that we've got some economic development projects on the drawing board. We hope the counties will grow, but in recent years, the rural counties have not kept pace in population with the urban counties. And so, can we afford for every single county to have every single building?
No.
Or will they be regional health departments and regional Department of Workforce Development and regional detention centers? I mean, we've already gone through, and I appreciate all the work of everybody who's worked on consolidating school districts, because this county is just too big, too small for 2 school districts. We're doing that in Barnwell now, we don't go from 3 to 1 in Barnwell, Manborough's gone from 2 to 1, and so that has been the trend, is to go, to a regional approach or consolidate where we can, because we just can't build a building for everything for everybody, because it's not gonna be fully utilized. So, to the extent that you know you have the same need as a neighboring county, and I know you know the people that serve on the county councils of your neighboring counties, regional requests are received in a higher priority than individual requests. Right now, there are requests going out for, talk about infrastructure, there's a whole pool of money that's gone out for broadband, all right? There's more monies in a rural infrastructure bank that is tailored for infrastructure that's not roads, so that would be water and sewer, okay? And there has been a priority given to those cities and counties who will, work together on a project. So you have a regional water system, you have a regional fiber system. And, that's just a trend in the future. I mean, it used to be counties are still important, don't get me wrong. But everybody used to really identify with their county because we didn't have the transportation ability to just run all over the place. But now we do. People that live in this county work in that county, okay? And vice versa. So, we want to, I'll say I believe I'm as big an advocate as there is for rural South Carolina. But times have passed us by on the idea that we will have a standalone building for every single delivery system for every single county. And that's why, unfortunately, some of the counties I represent don't have a hospital anymore, and they've gone to a regional hospital. It's going to be that way for you name it, whether it's schools, whether it's water systems, recreation facilities, detention facilities. We have needs that deserve to be met. Okay, the citizens here deserve no less than the citizens that live in some growing place like Somerville or Rock Hill or Greenville, okay? But we don't have the population base to justify a brand new building for everything. And we're gonna have to plan, and that's why I say a strategic plan is probably in order where y'all prioritize. Look at the buildings, the delivery services that you have now, decide which ones are just non-functional. If the corrections facility has gone to the point of 4 times you've given a pass and they're not giving another one, it's getting towards non-functional. We're gonna have it. So if something's dire, it's gonna have to maybe come to the top of the list. But that doesn't mean that I don't want you to hesitate to ask for every single thing you need. The reason I'm telling you that is there's pools of money out there, some state or some federal, that we can try and put you in touch with the right people for those things. They may tell you that you don't qualify in the size, and that's when you have to say, well, who else is in that boat? Can we join together and do this collectively? Okay. Somebody mentioned me today, who was it mentioned to me today that you're riding on Highway 301? Yeah. So, they, you know, instead of doing a bridge here, a bridge there, a bridge, they're doing all the bridges all the way to Lake Marion at one time. But that's because they can let a contract that they don't have to keep bringing equipment in and bringing equipment out. They can do all of it at one time. So, could be that if we wanna build something here, and Mason County needs to build something similar, let's see if we can work together, not pay for two engineering plans, not pay for two architects, use the same plan, that kind of thing. So, I know this is, what the old joke, we hear from God, we're here to help. Yeah. Famous last words, but look, I've been in hospitality for nearly 30 years and enjoy it. I know that you do too. It's an awesome responsibility, it's an awesome challenge, it's got its set of rewards. But you won't get it if you don't ask, okay? But the ask has to be realistic. You have to really do an assessment of what do you really need, what can be upfitted, and what might just need to be built from the ground up. And if you need it, then one of your sister, and it could be a municipality that you have to, you know, we talked about in some other counties, does every town really need a police chief, or can we just have the sheriff run law enforcement countywide? And, you know, as soon as you say that, the police chiefs and the mayors in those towns say, oh, absolutely, we gotta have our own, you know. And we have, and that's historically how we did it, right? But that might not be how we do it going forward. Times are changing. And, I remember actually coming over to Hampton as a young warrior, to try a case or two over here, and when I left Orangeburg, that was it. Whatever I knew when I left Orangeburg is all I knew. Well, now, y'all saw me in there, I was on my phone, so I couldn't even eat myself, because now things travel with you, okay? Times have changed, the ability of people to be more mobile, is upon us, you know, virtually and literally. So, Bill's a hard worker, so is Senator Matthews. If we can find you money, we will. But it's not like it's just growing on the tree up there, okay? There has to be a specific need that's got some study behind it, okay? You can't just say we need a new detention facility. You got to tell us we need a detention facility, and based on the last 2 years, the average census of the people that we have overnight is 20 or 50 or whatever. And, you know, there are plans out there that say what's the average size space that a person's supposed to have, and how much administrative space will be in a detention center. But you're right, I mean, transporting them somewhere else, it's gonna cost, you're gonna have to pay one way up, right? It's the same thing in the counties that don't have hospitals anymore. We've had to now beef up their ambulance systems and their airlift capacities, because we don't have the on-the-ground hospital there. But we still try and get people to the hospital in a timely fashion. It's just brick and mortar building is not there anymore. I wish every county had everything. But in the counties that are not growing as fast as the other counties, we will have to just look at a new model for how we go forward. Yes, sir.
Chair, question. Assessment list, I understand. We probably need to sit down and do one. But when I put the request for that audit on the assessment list,
We know about that, I'm just saying, we know that, you don't need to put the need for the audit on the list, we'll put that as the highest priority right now that needs to get done, and we're making that request to the governor's office very shortly.
So we don't have to do anything else?
Well, I'm not saying you don't have to do anything else, but I'm saying, when I talk about strategic plans for the future needs of the county, you don't need to put that on there, I think we all understand that.
We've had some discussion about the audits.
Yeah.
Previously, Senator Matthews and I have. And to reiterate, when you make a request, it needs to be fleshed out. Last year, the things I saw go through had plans, had designs, we had more than just a request, a blank basic number. So we need to work on those kind of things, get a plan together. And, know there's been some talk with some of the other counties about a regional detention center. We need to get that fleshed out, and see if that's gonna work out. Because we need to get moving, we're up against a hard wall here, that's for sure. Keep talking about things, we talked about the lights at exit 38. I think we're finally moving on that, that's been 20 years, I hope to see that done before my lifetime. But, and that's gonna be important, we've got to think about the future of 95, with the widening of 95, it's gonna end, the first two phases end at Point South. Well, the next exit is ours. All those wrecks and things that are happening on 95 in Hardyville are gonna all shift up to ours, our area, our exit 38, so we gotta worry about that future too in the next 10 years, so that's, we're gonna have to beef up our ambulances and our fire service down that way, so that's the other thing we gotta think about, is because of the growth down that way and the change in the road, we're gonna have those issues too, so that needs to be in that plan, that long-term plan.
And the plan is to go beyond exit 37, but to exit 37 is phase one.
Yeah, right. That's right.
They're not gonna move past, so you're right, there's probably gonna be a period
It's
of
probably
4, 5, 6 years
that it's all.
until it ends right there before they say, now we're gonna go from there to Baltimore, right? Then from Baltimore to the lake. Cause they're not, the lake is Lake Marion, which is between Orangeburg and Clarendon, that bridge has to be replaced. And so they already got plans in place to get that done. It's gonna be ready, that bridge may be replaced before the 3 lanes get to it.
Right. Does the state have someone that professionalizes in strategic planning that can sit with us and go through it with us?
You know, I would say it like this, yes, but is it in one single place? No. So if you wanna build a school building, you need to talk to the Department of Education, and they can help you look at plans of other similarly situated high schools or schools that have been built. Maybe take them a tour on it. If you need, you know, if it's corrections, you may need to talk to either the sheriff's departments or, you know, find a county your size that has something similar to what you had. And we can look, particularly if we know somebody's built something recently, there isn't any reason that we can't get them to share with us the basics. They might not give us that down to every outlet and facility that's put in, but as far as the square footage and the cost, and we all know that supply chain and all that cost, all construction is going up over. And so if you look at somebody who built something 5 years ago and ask them how much it costs, I wouldn't guarantee you could get that same building built now for that. But if those plans are good, and I'll tell you, we built a new magistrate's office in Orangeburg, and as soon as we got it built, about 20 things we realized we didn't do. I mean, just, it wasn't big enough in this area, that door was in the wrong place, and so, when you talk to somebody, you don't really ask them for what the plans are, but ask them after they got into the building, what they found out didn't work the way they thought it was gonna work, because sometimes things look like they work on paper, and, you know, they built the jury box in Orangeburg thinking they would get 6 people in there, and you can't get 4 in there. I mean, you know, I don't know what size people they were measuring, people from Orangeburg. So anyway, but to answer the question, yes, all other counties, the association of counties, should be able to help you at least identify what counties have recently built a detention center.
And I would think the Association of Counties would have somebody that could help you work through a strategic plan.
And also the COG, the low country.
Oh, yeah.
They probably have somebody they could work with.
Well, so I'm gonna leave it at this, is that we would love to help you, but you gotta help yourself in the sense that you can't just say we need a detention center. That's too, as you say, nebulous. It's gotta be a little more concrete than that. We need approximately this square feet, or we need to house this many people, that type of thing. So,
anything else? Question? Statement, question, comment. Gentlemen, Commissioners, Hello, Peter, thanks for coming out. My name is Zane Osborne. I'm the chief of medical staff of the hospital here, which will be taking care of your patients off of 95, and the head of the emergency room. So we have a real problem, like you brought up, Mr. Hutto, about transportation. If you come in here on a rainy night with a stroke, you'll be sitting in my emergency room for 8 to 12 hours. Because I can't get an ambulance service to come out here because the payer mix is poor. We don't come out a lot. I've been working with Chuck and Frampton and the other guys on the Aeronautics Commission here, trying to get situated so we can get IFR helicopters into the airport out here to get people out when the weather's questionable.
Do you have a landing pad at the hospital?
We do have a landing pad at the hospital, but you have to, it has to be visual,
Okay.
right? So if there's 1,000 feet of cloud cover, they can't come in. And, you know, the statistics are even, you know, probably 80% of the flights still won't be able to come in even for the IFR, but that's still 20%. I worked last week, one shift, I flew 4 people out. And these are people that don't have the money, and that's $50,000 just to get out of here. So that's something that I hope that we can look at ways to encourage investment and support for county, you know, like you said, multiple county, you know, maybe we have a transportation agreement with Colleton, with Allendale, Hampton, and we have, you know, 2 rigs that are set aside. So I may have to reach out to you to see who can talk to about writing grants for that. And I'm a relatively new member of the county. I moved here in 2021. My wife, Amy, is back there with me. And we got involved in this through some friends, and it's very eye-opening, the situation here. And I like the ideas that Roy, Camille, and the other guys brought up, but those issues we're discussing are really a symptom of a bigger disease that has been in this county for a long time. Self-service, corruption, abuse of office, and lack of a clear plan to develop economically. I mean, you don't need as big a jail as we have if everybody has a job. People at work don't have time to go out and do drugs and kill people. And I can tell you that because I work in emergency rooms, so I see the people who do the killing and I see the people that get killed. So I think the strategic plan is a great idea, and I applaud all you guys for doing that. And, you know, I'm not the smartest guy in the room by any chance. I do, you know, I'm a doctor, so I've been to a lot of, I've been to more school than anybody in this room. I can guarantee that, 17 years after high school. But, what? Yeah. God bless us student loans. Yeah, can I get some of those forgiven, by the way? At any rate, we're excited to live here. There's a lot of opportunities here. The people in Hampton County are great. Have a great heart.
Yes.
But the county has been mismanaged for a long, long time. And we're not gonna fix it overnight. And Darren, I will keep praying for you, brother. And the whole county. Thanks for your time. Good. You know what you can do tomorrow? Donate that payment to the hospital. So we can get some new equipment.
We'll do him first, Mr. Pennell, and then I'll be
Thank you all. I think you all know what I'm going to speak about. And the reason I'd like to speak to the delegates is because when we started fighting this gun range in the embassy that sent multiple bullets into the community, I spoke with Alan Wilson. I also spoke with Matt Gates, and Matt Gates referred me to our elected officials that you guys would offer a resolution or solution.
To date, just to bring you up to speed, Friday, a week or so ago, we had mediation, and the mediation, essentially, they said, okay, it's so important for the safety of the community. I was willing to forego any kind of payment for damages, anything like that. We wanted the range shut down. God willing, on November 30th, we will have the range shut down. However, the community is real upset. They're upset with me because I signed off on what would essentially take the threat away, but now we still have homes that are damaged. We still have windows busted. And as I said, the first incident, any reasonable person would say that was an accident. 16 incidents later, reported incidents later, it's hard to justify why no one has been arrested and charged according to laws that are on the books of South Carolina. If SLED says that these are crimes against the community, and this is a seasoned SLED district captain for Charleston, why is it that we're having a fight and we have not gotten any resolution? I will tell you now, to bring you guys up to speed, the town of Genesee says the reason that they were able to bring this range is because the county's ordinances were out of date. Well, it just so happened, I was able to ask the attorney for the Municipal Association of South Carolina on a meeting, County Association on a meeting this past Monday. He says it doesn't work that way. I've now talked with 3 additional attorneys. It doesn't work that way. You can't just invalidate an ordinance and decide that you're gonna bring in a gun range or a business in because a county's ordinance is out of date. So what I'm doing now is I'm going back to, I met with you guys before and I appreciate what you're doing. But that first phase, we think we have that under control. The second phase is now, how do we get to that point where we're able to get restitution for the damages that have been done? And then the broader issue, as I see it, the 50,000 foot rule issue, is that how do you prevent this from happening in the future? We have law enforcement. Fortunately, we got one of, in my opinion, one of the greatest sheriffs in the state. And he's no nonsense, he's fair, straight down the middle. What we had in the past was nothing short of a kangaroo outfit that would not go into the jurisdiction of the embassy. The embassy said we can't go into jurisdiction of the county. So now you've got dozens of homes and people that lives have been threatened, safety has been threatened, and nothing's happened. So my question to you is, what do you propose? How do you fix this permanently? And secondly, the second question that I have is the fact that we're talking about the economy and we're talking about the regional happenings and making things more regional. So would the planning then become more regional? That is, instead of the Hampton County Sheriff being over Hampton County, we'd have some region. If that's the case, shouldn't the planning be regional? And thirdly and finally, is the fact that in my lifetime, I have seen degradation to no end where we have now, from Allendale, Fairfax, Brunson, Yamasee, all through the county, closed buildings, closed stores. And we've seen very little economic improvement, job-wise, in the county in a number of years. And that's under many councils. So what do we do? And I appreciate your time.
Well, you raised a question that creates an issue beyond just the sheriff, but I'll use the sheriff as an example. The sheriff is a constitutional office. Embedded in the Constitution, each county will have a sheriff. So unless we change the Constitution, each county will have a sheriff. Now, there's nowhere that says that each county's got to have a police chief. So you could have a regional approach within a county. You could have a regional approach across county lines that would take a memorandum of understanding between 2 sheriffs. There's nowhere in the future that I see that we'll be electing region-wide sheriffs. Okay, we're going to elect sheriffs by county. And it's the same is true for some other, I mean, I've advocated that the auditor, the treasurer and the clerk of court of every county ought to be hired by county council. I mean, ultimately, y'all are responsible for delivering those services, but you have these countywide elected officials who don't really answer to you, and if an issue arises, you don't have any control over them. And that's an issue that I have faced in other counties, but that it's not an easy thing, because there are well-run, you name it, treasurer's office, clerk's court across the state, and so there are a lot of counties who don't want that kind of change. And maybe it should be made optional at some point, just like, you can choose the type of city government that you want, or the type of county government that you want. Maybe you could decide whether you want certain officials elected countywide, or you want to let county council to hire out some of those positions. But it would take, I believe, a change in the Constitution to do that, to give local county by county option of how they would decide that. So I think that might answer the sheriff's part of the question. On the issue of who's responsible for damages, there are 2 or 3 things I would tell you that are possible. One is, if these people are victims of crime, most of solicitors' offices and police and sheriff's departments have victims advocates, and there are victims funds available in some cases that victims can apply for funding when they've been damaged as a result of a crime. But in order to access those, they're probably going to somebody's going to have to be charged with a crime. Okay, the way that you get somebody charged with a crime, obviously, is you have a law enforcement officer with an incident report go before a judge and make its case, and the judge, he or she decides to issue an arrest warrant or not. And if you don't go that route, then the other route that would be available is that a person who's aggrieved could hire a lawyer and sue whoever. If they knew who the perpetrator was, you could file a lawsuit against them. Of course, if they don't have any money, you throw good money after bad. And in some cases, some places, I know some gun ranges are insured. I don't know that this one had insurance or not, but if they did, there might be some insurance money available. But somebody needs to get a good lawyer in that general area and figure out whether to approach. And if you said SLED's already investigated, if SLED knows it was a crime, they ought to be in front of a judge getting a warrant. But I mean, I don't run SLED, but I mean, that's where you would start putting pressure on them to do that, or the sheriff, if the sheriff. And I realize what you're saying is some of the issue may have happened inside the city limit, some of it may have happened outside the limit, and you got this jurisdictional issue about whether it's the sheriff or police chief. But that can and should get sorted out, because people who are victims of crime shouldn't be not made whole just because of some jurisdictional line.
So do you agree that it's not your job as an elected official to enforce laws that are on the books now?
We create the laws, we
That's,
enforce them.
that's what I understood. Okay, I appreciate it.
So now, to the extent that a law needs to be changed, modified, scrapped, we're the right people.
Have you identified anything from this where the shooter's in one jurisdiction, the damage is in another? Have you identified anything from your study on this that would warrant a change of laws?
Well, I would say is this. Sheriffs have countywide jurisdiction, SLED has statewide jurisdiction, and municipal police offices have they can't go beyond that. The sheriff can go inside of the city, and just like SLED can go inside of a county. So, I don't know the specifics enough to answer your question, but a true victim of crime should not be left out in the cold just because there's some argument between the law enforcement authorities.
Thank you very much.
I wanted to ask first of why. My question is why Hampton County is so far behind in development. I lived in several counties. Greenville, South Carolina County, it bloomed like that. With money, bloomed, I mean, just quickly. I moved to Augusta, Georgia, bloomed right in the blink of an eye. Moved to Atlanta, Alpharetta, Georgia was like this time. Bloomed just like that. Huge. I mean, not just a little development, it just, boom, big city. Why is Hampton County taking so long to develop? I don't understand that. Though but I believe the money is coming in, but they just put it in the wrong place, or they take it out of the county, take it into another county, investing it in some other building or whatever, because Hampton County shouldn't take that long to grow. When I was a little kid, I was here in Hampton County. I came back, it got worse.
Well, I think it's gonna get better. I think it's gonna get better for all of rural South
It's
Carolina.
really a shame, but what happened to the money that was coming in?
Well, I guess that may be part of the question about audit that we need.
That's what we need to know.
We've lost our industry here. We had a very large industry, all our eggs in one basket. And when that left, that was devastating. We have some things on the horizon. I think I had an employee years ago that, worked in the Hardyville area, down the Bluffton Hardyville area. He kept saying, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, and we didn't believe him, it's coming. And, he screamed about that for 10 or 12 years, it's coming, and we didn't see it. And, our planners in Columbia didn't see it. And, all of a sudden it's there. And I think Hampton's in that position, it's coming.
It's not.
You're just not seeing it yet, but it's coming.
Yes.
It's coming.
Is part of that because it wasn't planned? Is part of that because of bad management or lack of management, which was mentioned a little bit earlier?
That's exactly right.
Yes, of course.
But we're fixing that.
It needs to, planning has to occur in order for progress to be made. There has to be a plan, and it has to be budgeted, and you have to work the plan.
Exactly.
So we have to get, and citizens have to be involved. We have a planning commission here that's been working as long as I can remember on a overall county plan, land plan. And we can't keep anybody on the board long enough to get a plan done. We just get on and get off, get on, and then we start all over again. So it's important that that the citizens get involved in these boards and commissions. I'm sure there's openings on every board and commission in Hampton County, and we can't get people in to take this position.
And when people apply for those boards, how long does it take to get approval for the people who apply for the boards?
It shouldn't take that long with one dispenser.
I appreciate, I'm gonna be very clear, I appreciate all the hard work that everybody sitting in front of us is doing, the legislators, the county council persons as well, and I know it's a hard job. But there has to be planning, and there has to be some urgency to things, instead of just sitting and people asking questions and nothing ever happening. And I have no idea why that is. And I'm not talking about today necessarily, but that's what I think a lot of citizens have been. Gun range is a good example of that. I think it's what citizens feel, or that's the perception, and then perception becomes reality, unfortunately. And I know for a fact that applications have been made that sat, and I think there are other people in this room who know that to be a fact as well. And again, I'm not talking about today, okay? But we are where we are because of, I guess, an accumulation, right? Thank you.
Get the right people.
I have, thank you for what you're doing. I have come before this body on a number of occasions and over a number of years, urging the development of strategic planning interests. I hear that term come up again tonight, and what immediately follows is a recital of what we want. And I think that if we are going to move forward as a county in some kind of comprehensive county development way, we've got to change the portal of entry and the point of inquiry. The question I suggest is, what does Hampton County need to become a healthy, viable county and an important cog in the development of the low country of South Carolina.
Amen.
Amen.
It's been implied earlier, it's deeper than the things that we're talking about.
Yeah.
The center, the this, the that. They're fundamental problems of communication in this county. And I think that the county government is not as effective as it could be, and this is no reflection on you all.
That's true.
But it's the structure of the county. If the representatives, if there's not a district kind of representation where folk are electing people who live in their communities and who are accountable to them, it seems to me that we're gonna have these kinds of gaps in communication. Councilman James talked about the space between council and the community. We're not going to address that unless we don't even have a newspaper. How do we talk to each other? We don't have adequate broadband. How do we talk to each other? So the process of development is the process of relationship building
Yes.
and identifying what the county needs to be helpful and a contributing entity in the low country. Thank you.
And not just talking about doing it,
Do it. That's right.
do it.
So the county is actually lacking a director of planning. For business development.
Right.
There's no one, so when you go through Fairfax and everything's boarded up, you go through Brunson, all the stores are boarded up, you go through Yamasee, when I grew up, there used to be businesses on every block it seems. And now, if you go downtown Wall Street, everything's boarded up. There's no Westinghouse, and yet we have no one that's out there, business development. The development that someone's out actually with a charge to bring people in, and I know that's on a regional basis, and I respect that. But what about Hampton? What about specific to Hampton?
Well, within the Southern Carolina Alliance, Hampton has a county-wide person assigned to them for business recruitment. And we, quite frankly, are one of the most successful regional business recruiters in the state. It may not show directly right now in Hampton, but I agree with you. I think it's coming. And it's coming because the growth is coming out of Savannah, Port Savannah is developing, and we're gonna be in that cog that really has caused a little bit of problem because it's across the state line, but people aren't gonna locate a business in Hampton and go through the Port of Charleston. If they're gonna do it, they're gonna go through the Port of Savannah. And,
Taxes is so
right. And so us, Beaufort, Jasper, Allendale, really need to, and I think we have, just realize we are aligned with the metropolitan region of Savannah. For port, for airport, for a lot of things. And what happens in Columbia is the same thing that happens in Atlanta. So we don't want our money going across the state line. So Atlanta's not gonna fund things over here, Columbia's not gonna fund things over there. But we're working on that. I mean, I think that just takes a little bit of understanding now. They've done that in the Charlotte area. The South Carolina side of Charlotte is growing. And, you know, Rock Hill, those people believe they live in North Carolina. They live in North Carolina TV, they read North Carolina newspaper, they all Hornets and Panther fans, and, you know, but they're part of South Carolina, and
Don't sell SCA short.
yeah.
There's a lot of things going on in the background that you don't see because these projects are quiet when they're looking. And I can tell you, from the inside, there's a lot going on.
Well, it's hard, one of the problems with Hampton County, in my opinion, and I'm a landowner in Hampton County, I'm also a landowner in Jasper County. And when your taxes are 25 to 30% higher in Hampton County, you're not gonna invest in Hampton County. So that's why when they go to SC8, they go to Allendale County.
To that end, I had the privilege some years ago of being the economic developer for Hampton County before SCA took over Hampton County. I spent most of my time, being honest about it, trying to nurture a community development culture. People are not gonna come with big investments in a community that has nothing to offer. So we've got to be concerned with how we develop the community, not just go out and catch industry. Because the industries that we catch will use the incentives and they'll be gone, and that's the pattern of what we have now. That's Geneva Mall, that's Westinghouse, that's that pattern. We've got to develop, as I said, what does the county need to be healthy?
We need to have a college here, cause everybody knows.
We're not gonna get a
Don't
college.
start me on
We're
that.
not getting a college. But what we are gonna get is a new high school and new,
High school, college,
well, you know,
that's a good high school. They
we're
have-
gonna, for workforce development, it all starts, the key is education. All right, you gotta have an educated workforce to recruit.
Everybody graduated from high school, they leave. I did myself. When I was 17, I left.
Well, I'm just gonna tell you, we're not.
So why do you leave, right?
But nothing here,
Because there's nowhere to work.
no work, no.
So it's a double-edged sword, right? You gotta have the education, you gotta have the industry to hire these people once they're educated.
The county was good.
Can we, sorry to interrupt everybody, but
We gotta go.
no, we don't have to go. We are to be leaving soon, but it's not conducive to have multiple people talking over everybody. And so I think that's a great segue. Thank you, Senator Cotto. The school district is represented here, and I'm sure you all have something that you would love to say, ask for, request. So I'll give you all the opportunity to come speak.
I wasn't prepared to, but I will. Thank you for coming. The school's been mentioned, and we're excited to be a part of change in Hampton County, and we appreciate, of course, Senator Hunter, you were involved in the consolidation from the beginning, and I know, Bill, you'll continue to help us. One thing, so I know that you talked about pots of money. If the budget proviso, there's another one that is set aside to benefit continued consolidation of school districts, and we were thrilled to get $52 million, and we're gonna use every penny of that to build the high school, but we're continuing to consolidate our buildings, and we have a project underway now that's going to consolidate essentially 3 schools, Estill Elementary, the old Estill High School, and the middle school into a single building. And so we talk about putting plans together and before you ask for something. So we have plans designed, they're ready to construct, and we would love for you to consider that pot of money to help, set aside for consolidating districts to put towards that project.
Well,
So
I've been in Superintendent Weaver's office, and you are
I know
on
you
the
did.
radar screen, and there will be hopefully between another 100 million and 200 million in the next year. I mean, this is not a one-time thing. It's about $1 billion worth of needs in rural schools, which means if we fund it at 100 million a year, it's gonna take 10 years. If we fund it at 200 million a year, it's gonna take 5 years. But eventually, that money is gonna go to those schools who show a willingness to consolidate, not everywhere can, right? But we cannot have a building, a facility in every small town in a county of this size. And so, I think the fact that you've got a plan to move 3 buildings into one puts you higher on the list.
right, and we spoke about it last spring, but and right away, you said, let me help you with that, and we heard from the State Department. But I guess what I hear from you tonight is that it helps to show the plan and show that we're ready, and this money's gonna go to a well-defined need. So I think we're gonna, hearing you tonight, Dr. Wilcox and I have talked about following up and
Email me the plan.
send it to you and show, we got the numbers and this is what we're doing, and if that'll help, I know y'all have a lot of schools to look at, but so it's been good here tonight to be reminded of that, so we intend to follow up on that.
Can you say anything about the curriculum that is going to be offered to the community in the new complex?
Do you want to speak to that? Sure.
Yes, I can speak to that. I want to make a couple of statements before I do, if I can. we're trying to do our best, realizing the situation the county's in. We're trying our best to get state dollars and federal dollars to do our building with. We're trying to relieve the county commission of as much funds as we possibly can for construction. I want you to know that we're writing grants, we're doing everything that we possibly can to help the county in that respect as we help ourselves. Now, we do have, and we're going to be showing some pictures of this here in the next week or so. We just got them from our architect. We want you to see what it is that we have in mind for this county. It's going to be a wonderful school. And answer Dr. Small's question here, it's going to be a school based on vocational rather than academic. We visited a school system in Tennessee that built a similar school. And the superintendent there said, research shows that 60% of the students do not go to college. And she said, we felt like we needed to prepare them for the world of work. And so, when you walked into that school up there, the first classrooms you saw were vocational classes. They weren't algebra, they weren't trigonometry or any of the academic classes. They were vocational classes. So they did that to set the tone for what they were saying up there, and they really meant what they were saying, and they did. And we're going to try to duplicate something like that here. And to answer your question, we're looking at what trades that we can possibly offer our children. I've been talking to a welder in the last 2 weeks. I think I've got a welding class lined up. We just started an HVAC class just recently. The president of TCL called me and he's going to give me the equipment that they had in the culinary arts program down in Beaufort. And we're going to go get that in the next week or two. We're going to store that here till we get ready to build our high school and have a culinary arts program in there. So we're asking our community, and we ask you, and we're going to have some community input sessions into our strategic plan that we're getting ready to develop here quickly. We're asking the community, what do you feel like our children need? What courses would you think that they could benefit from? And we do want to offer courses that will provide an opportunity to make a living, those that pay well. And there's some courses out there that do that. And so that's where we are, and I just want to share with you where we are as a board and superintendent and what our intentions are. And I want to thank these legislators for the wonderful job they're doing. It's unreal what they've done to help our school system. $50 million just didn't happen. It took some people like Sandra Hutto and working on that, Bill's working for us, trying to get us some funds, and we do need the extra money for the ESCA project. It's really going to be nice that we are closing schools to help ourselves be more efficient.
Dr. Wilcox, ask you one question. I know that there's a lot of property around the county that the school system owns. Are y'all making any plans to do anything with that property? I mean, that would bring more revenue in for the schools and put it back in the tax base and that kind of stuff. Instead of having a lot of old buildings sitting around, we need to do something with these sites to generate revenue.
Yes, we are. As a matter of fact, the board in the last 3 months, we've had several meetings. We've talked with some of the city governments. We've got the Bridge building on the market. We think we got a buyer for it. So we are in the process of trying to do something with our properties. At Estill High School over there, that school has about 200 acres. We probably don't need the whole 200 acres. So what we're looking at is, can we work with the Forest Service and plant trees on the property that we're not going to use? Now that would bring some money in on down the road. They say about $3,500 per acre.
Right.
When it's cut and whatever. But it would at least be, land would be sitting idle. It wouldn't be, producing some funds for the county. But yeah, any property we got, if you have any use for it, let us know.
final comments from the council? Any final comments?
I would like to say, this is something that we need to take and spread to the community. The school board is setting the role model for something Senator Huddle spoke heavily on. Consolidation, regional, which means the whole world is changing. Hampton County government was set the same way. I'm not sure, but I'm sure, I'm almost sure, since it was originated. Same thing. We need to change that. Because the world is changing. Thank you, Mr. Huddle. Thank you, Mr. Bill. Appreciate your time.
Any final comments from you all?
I'm gonna make one because you never know when this is my next to the last visit, because while I've enjoyed representing Hampton for nearly 30 years now, when we redrew the lines for the District 40, which has encompassed Hampton County since 1996, the way the migration of the growth grew in the counties and all, my line shifted out of Hampton County. I'll represent Fairfax still, but I won't come across the county line. That new district will go up into Aiken County, which I've never represented before, but, Clerk Wright Matthews and Bill's lines are still down here. But the reason I'm telling you that is because, just because you might not be able to vote for me after next year, that doesn't mean you can't call on me. I've come to love Hampton County. I've watched the good times and the bad, and just because you might not see me on the ballot doesn't mean that you can't knock on my door.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Well, thank you all for coming and joining us. I think I got a lot of great information. I'm sure everybody else did. I hope everybody did. But as far as I'm concerned, I think we can adjourn. Paul, talk to somebody else.